Thank you. Since we started worshiping online, we've taken a moment before letting all the people into the Zoom room to prepare ourselves for worship. So since we still have that opportunity today with live streaming, let's do that now. I'd like to invite you to breathe. Take a deep breath in. We have done so much work. There has been so much busyness, so much preparation to bring us to this moment. And we are here. Take another breath in. One more. As we ground ourselves, let's turn ourselves toward worship and go live.
Welcome and good morning, everyone. I am Katie Cartman, Director of Religious Education here at Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church in Houston, Texas. Our beloved community of faith, reason, and affection welcomes all to grow in mind and spirit as together we build a better world. If you are joining us for the first time this morning, we extend a special welcome and invite you to fill out our online visitor card so you can receive more information about Emerson and our activities. Again, welcome to all. If you've been online with us for a while, well, things may look very different to you this morning, as we're now live streaming from the sanctuary to YouTube, and we are all learning together. Today, our interim minister, the Reverend Michelle LaGrave, leads worship, with support from me and our music director, Julia Morsher, choir section leads Ariel and Juan, keyboard artist Sean, and Emersonians Jill Rose, Michael Bloom, Dory Wolf, and Elsbeth Davis, Linda Lord, and Leo Vandermeulen on our tech deck. Following the worship service, we'll have social time on Zoom, a chance for you to gather in smaller groups to discuss the service and what's going on in your lives. We'll give that link at the end of today's service, and it's also in today's e-blast if you just want to click it when the time comes. And now, Sean.
Good morning, everyone. Our service today is about exploring the core value of community. And as we are a learning community who is live streaming for the first time today, there will probably be some bloopers. So we appreciate your understanding and patience with us. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whichever your pronouns, whomever you love, you are welcome here.
Our opening words are adapted from those of Marnie Harmony. We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here. We gather as a community drawn together out of a common need, each toting our own carpet bag of treasures and dreams. We gather together seeking meaning, yearning to understand life in all its dimensions, as it challenges and expands, as it burdens, as it consoles and heals. We gather together with questions, the kind of questions that provoke us to the path of action. We gather with hope, the kind of hope that pulses on through uncertainty. We gather with tenderness, the kind of tenderness that can only be born from knowing human capabilities as well as human imperfections. We gather wanting certainty and having none, but we are wakeful to possibilities. Let us worship.
Please join us in our chalice lighting this morning, and if you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light that as well. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love, burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Let us join together in singing our opening hymn.
Here we have gathered
Isn't it wonderful to have live music coming to us from the sanctuary once again? So let's talk about stories. A few weeks ago, our guest minister, Aaron Walter, talked to us about the Amish tradition of barn raising, of people coming together, setting aside their own work for the day, to hammer and to frame, others pulling together all the tables and setting out a sumptuous feast, a whole community sharing stories, sharing laughter, and most importantly to them, helping a new couple or someone expanding to frame up and largely construct an entire barn. She went on to explain that sometimes it's not about actually building a building, that we have plenty of those stories. It's about sustaining one another's spirits, the gifts of a listening ear, a weekly check-in, time to sing and laugh together. Today, we're talking about Emerson's core value of community. So I was reminded not only of that barn raising, but about our Emerson church history. We're very lucky in that we've had folks over the years who've written not just the facts, the figures, the who's, the what's, but compelling narratives, stories of who we have been, where we are going. So just a couple of stories, bear with me. Our church history tells of the time in October of 1963, as our minister Frank Schulman and his family were arriving in Houston. The high school youth group cleaned, dusted, swept the house just as they were arriving. And somehow, the moving van did not come with them. So folks from all over the congregation pulled together the household goods that they'd need for a week or two to get things started, to have extra clothes to put on their kids, and to ensure that sweet start to a long ministry. And of course, there are our church buildings. The groundbreaking in a muddy lot in February of 1960, adding the sanctuary in the early 70s. Did you know there's a time capsule in one of our walls? I have not yet actually let my curiosity get the best of me and walked in with, a drywall knife. But sometimes I think about it because I want to know that story too. We've built so many buildings over the years. And then, of course, in the early 2000s, Delaney Hall. Countless hours and fundraising and so many logistics. It was the first building to seek certification as a LEED Green building in the state of Texas. Imagine all of the people coming together, holding up their values. And well, from time to time it got heated. There was also camaraderie and, again, laughter. Churches, of course, are not just about our buildings. We'd call that an edifice complex. How many ways, how many times have we lifted one another up, supported a family when a new baby is born, helped out when somebody broke a leg? We could go on and on. And then there are all the ways that we have helped our wider community and have come together in gorgeous ways, rebuilding together Houston with 30 Emersonians on site, painting, sure, and caulking, and also sitting around, swapping stories, eating sandwiches that yet another Emersonian put together with their own hands. Those are some magical afternoons. We've had days of working at the food bank. We've done beach and bayou cleanups. We have a long relationship with Interfaith Ministries and a developing one with our Texas Legislative Justice League. We all work together to build the world we dream about. And so much of what makes us a community is those stories that we share, the sweet moments of connection. When Dick Molyneux would speak of his adventures around the world, when Anna Louise Brunner would say, "Now you sit down and you tell me your life story." Our youngest Emersonians showing off their loose tooth, their new roller skates, their favorite stuffed animal. These are the things, the hard conversations and the joyous ones, the giggling. These are the things that build up a community and build up our individual souls, giving us energy for our present and our future. Our next barn raising adventure will be getting ready to reopen this building with projects inside and outside and ways to keep us all connected as we meet online and here at Emerson. I can't wait, and I look forward to creating more stories with you. Giving out of what is our own is a transformative act. As a community of faith, we collect an offering, not for ourselves or our congregation, but to give to others as a collective action of our community and as a way to live out our shared values. Please give with a generous heart to support the September Share the Plate recipients. This month, 75% of our offering goes to Justice Forward. In 2003, Emerson members worked to establish the Harris County Drug Court Foundation to help individuals with nonviolent addiction-related offenses get treatment and non-prison interventions. Over 800 Houstonians have stayed out of jail with this program, most getting clean and getting a fresh start. Last year, the Harris County Drug Foundation evolved to Justice Forward, expanding their mission to work with all 18 Harris County specialty courts. Their innovative program provides funds for transitional housing, counseling, employment, and education assistance, lowering recidivism and increasing family reunification, while also delivering fiscal savings to Texas taxpayers. You can learn more at www.justiceforward.org. And if you missed it, a few weeks ago, we had an adult religious education session with one of the founders, an Emersonian, Gabe Gelb. You can catch that on our YouTube channel. As always, 25% of our offering will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, feeding Houston seniors. We have 3 ways you can give. You can text the number on the screen, go to our webpage for online giving, or if you prefer to mail a check, yes, we are picking up mail at the church. And now, Sean.
Please find a comfortable place to be or in your seats, and place your feet flat on the floor if you can and if you will, so that you might feel grounded, more connected to the earth which nourishes and sustains us all. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, and take a deep breath in. as together we enter into a time of meditation followed by silence. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, ethnicization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. Now let us enter into the silence together. Amen, and blessed be.
Our reading today comes to us from Dana E. Worsnop. Often, people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they're getting at, and I know they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no names at all for God. I want to be with people who see in me goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into different ways of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
Way back when, I realized I had received a call to ministry and headed off to seminary. I knew a long, hard path lay ahead of me before I could become a minister. What I didn't know or didn't realize was that I was about to become part of a community. The theological school which I belonged to was set up on top of a hill, just outside of Boston. As the student body and faculty were quite diverse theologically, it wasn't technically a seminary. The most liberal, not surprisingly, were the Unitarian Universalists. Though mainline Protestants and conservative Christians both taught and attended there as well. Making my experience even more diverse was the fact that I lived on campus along with students from my own school, the Rabbinical and Cantorial School that shared our campus, as well as other theological schools in the Boston area. The chapels were made use of by two local Jewish congregations, one conservative and one renewal, on Friday evenings and Saturday mornings. The heart of the campus was not its classrooms, though those were important, nor its chapels, they were important too, but its dining room. That is where most people came together, socialized, ate together, and formed bonds across a diverse spectrum of theological leanings. It was commonly known at the time that I was a Unitarian Universalist, lived on campus, kept Sabbath on Friday nights, studied biblical Hebrew, and liked to worship with the Jewish Renewal congregation. And so it was that on one Friday, as I left the dining room after lunch, those who were gathered wished me a good Sabbath and said goodbye. Later that evening, I went out to eat with some of my friends, as was my Sabbath custom, then watched a movie with a friend in her room. Then, when close to midnight, I returned to my own little apartment. I was shocked to find a swastika had been drawn on the dry erase board hanging on my door. So you might imagine it was a frightening experience. The dean was called in the middle of the night. The police came out soon after, and it was investigated as a hate crime. Although theories abounded about who might have done such a thing or why, the person was never caught. What did happen is that the community came together and surrounded me in love. And of course, this happened most visibly and most notably in the dining hall. On a crowded evening, the dean gathered the student body around in a circle and led us in a time of prayer and lamentation. Yes, there were tears, but even more, there was a feeling of love that overflowed that room. I had never felt anything like it before, nor have I since. In that moment, yes, healing began, but it was so much more than healing. I witnessed the immense power of love when manifested communally to conquer all, and I do mean all. It was indeed a revolutionary love. What does this mean for us today? That the power of community, when harvested for the good, when harvested in love, is immense. And so we begin with exploring the value of community. Who is or is not a member of a community is a question of prime importance. And since membership can be thought of either formally or informally, I'm going to go ahead and change that question to one of belonging rather than one of membership right from the start. Who belongs? Who does not belong? For millennia, humans have been forming groups
drawing circles around those who belong and those who do not belong. Evolutionarily, this has had much to do with safety and protection and the distribution of sometimes scarce resources. So in some ways, it's probably something of a natural human instinct. But that does not make it either healthy or wise in the context of modern and liberal faith community, such as Emerson. Here, all people belong. People of any identity, gay, straight, black, white, or brown, cisgender or transgender, those who can walk and see and hear, and those who cannot, those with PhDs, and those who never made it to high school. Those who are poor or wealthy in financial resources, those who are atheists and theists and pantheists and non-theists, those who are old enough to sign the membership book and those who haven't yet learned how to talk or read, those who are citizens or refugees, and so many more. Yes, each and every one of you belongs here. Whether you are a formal member, a longtime friend, or a first-time visitor. And as we are a human community that practices our ideals imperfectly, we bind ourselves together in covenant and commit ourselves to ever widening the circle of belonging and inclusion. For those of you who do not already know, I am here serving Emerson as an interim minister. Intentional interim ministry is a specialized ministry that supports a congregation in doing the work it needs to do in order to call its next settled minister. Part of this work includes exploring a congregation's identity. Who are you as a faith community? Are you still the congregation of old? Or have you moved into a new phase of your life cycle? Who do you want to be? We began exploring some of these questions last spring when the transition team and I led 2 sessions meant to help discern the congregation's core values. They were open to all, members and friends alike. 5 core values were chosen after stories had been told: community, caring, integrity, welcoming, and ministry. Over the course of the first 5 months of this church year, we will explore, through worship, one of the core values, one Sunday a month. This Sunday is the core value of community, from which all else flows. Welcoming says something about what kind of community you are and to which you aspire. Caring says something about how you are and want to be in community together. Integrity says something about the nature of your community. Ministry says something about what it is your community does and wants to do. But what is community as a value on its own? What is community for? I think at least some of the answer lies in Emerson's purpose statement, which is this: our beloved community of faith, reason, and affection welcomes all to grow together in mind and spirit as we build a better world. Community is about growing in mind and spirit. Community is about being together. Community is about building a better world and not accepting the status quo. Community, or at least healthy community, is good for us. Community assuages loneliness. Community encourages growth. Community praises and laments the joys and sorrows of life that we all face. Community heals. Community is a place to know and be known. Community facilitates creativity and collaboration and cooperation, all elements critical to humans' ability to not just survive, but also thrive. This happens during times of crisis and disaster, yes, and it also happens in times of joy and celebration. We humans are social creatures. We have a need to be together. We humans are also meaning makers, and liberal religious community where all can participate in creating or making meaning is essential to our spiritual health. But aren't all religious congregations also communities? Don't all faith traditions value community? Not necessarily. I remember being surprised when I was younger to learn that at my friend's church, they simply went to the church service and left right away. There was no social or coffee hour, nor did they gather for church potlucks. So while they had a very strong religious identity, they did not place a high value on faith community. Even within any one denomination or faith tradition, emphases on the value of community can differ widely. As today's topic is about exploring the core value of community, I hope all of you will be willing to rejoin us for social time shortly after this service. Yes, now that we are live streaming on YouTube, you will have to leave YouTube and rejoin us on Zoom, where we will explore the question, what does community mean to you? If you are someone who is familiar with Emerson, you might want to speak to what community at Emerson means. If you are someone who is relatively or even brand new here, you might want to speak to what sort of community you are seeking. Then, in the days to come, I invite you to write your own version of Dana Worsnop's I Want to Be with People, our reading for today. And if you are willing to share afterwards, please do so. Yes, I am giving you spiritual homework. Maybe I should do that more often. I will close with one last thought. Whether over the course of our lifetimes or at any one time, we are never limited to only one community. We form religious communities, work communities, neighborhood communities, school communities, extended family or chosen family communities. The blessings of community in all its forms are open to us, as is the immense power of a communal and revolutionary love. May it be so evermore. Amen, and blessed be. Now let us join together in singing our closing hymn.
And we have found a need to be receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us, and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our mind and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we share with friends, they will linger on and on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so are we drawn together. So are we fortunate to find each other. So are we bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity. Go now in peace, with love in your hearts, kindness on your lips, and compassion at your fingertips, blessing all others as you yourselves are blessed. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and everyone who helped bring this service together. We have two quick announcements. The first one is Our Emerson Gala is next Saturday evening. You can find more information on our webpage, and you can already start bidding online for the fabulous auction items, including my special turkey bone gumbo. Finally, we're going to go to Zoom rooms for social time. That link, it will be in the chat and it will be in your email, and it is emersonhouston.org/socialtime. Now, our postlude.